All right, so let's go over what we already talked about a little bit on continuous integration. We had mentioned that we want to automate the whole process as much as possible. Otherwise, if you have for every manual process that you have, there's always a risk of doing it wrong, right? Of human error, and as much as possible, any tedious process we would like to automate and just have something that's reliable, that can reliably repeat the same mechanical manual steps that we do. So repeat that by some robot, somebody who doesn't mind to follow blindly certain steps. So we have we had mentioned that we were going to use Jenkins as the tool of preference for automating these processes. That we were going to try and automate all the way up to deployment and into an environment. In this particular case, it's Heroku. So we're basically doing the continuous deployment, right? Not only just continuous integration, not only just validating all the way up to the test, but we want to go all the way to push it to production, right? That every time you do a commit and you push something and somebody merges, right? We want the whole process to go in and make the very latest code that has been tested to make it all the way to production, right? Now, depending on how simple your production environment is, and how confident you are, your particular organization is on the ability of provide value every time they commit and every time they merge. Oftentimes, folks might not become comfortable with deploying every single day or every single commit. Right? It might be that they do maybe a weekly deployment, right? Where they deploy every hour to a QA environment, right? But they don't go all the way up to deployment to production, right? Every single half hour or every single check-in, right? Instead, they might have a weekly deployment or a monthly deployment or bi-weekly deployment where the community of developers agrees that these features are ready to go, and then we're ready, and then they pick and choose which commits or which branches to merge and build it all the way to production. We're gonna since our system is fairly simple, right? We're going to try and go directly to production, right? Every time we do a merge, right, we're going to trigger a build, right? And if the tests are successful, we want to go all the way to production, right? So we're going to do the continuous deployment, right? We're going to skip waiting for these stages to complete, right? It's going to be part of the entire pipeline. We talked about CI benefits, right? That allows multiple teams to be able to communicate better, so that we can all be notified if something is wrong with the build and we can own it together, right? Even if if the problem originated in some other team, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't even know about these failures, right? Ideally, these failures are very rare, right, and infrequent. And so they can be given the urgency of that they merit. That they come in if something is broken, well, you have to fix it, right? This should not happen, right? You should have tested locally in your machine, and the build should never break, right? Because you've already built in your local machine, and if you're merging this, you're pretty confident that it's not going to break your build. Right, so if somebody breaks the build, it should be met with some stern objections by the rest of the organization. It says, this should not happen, right? And you don't want to be the person who broke the build, right? And folks should help those individuals that might be frequently breaking the build and see if the process is not working for them. Try to help them out. And improve their particular process, so that this becomes a rare occasion, right? That merits the urgency needed. If folks become complacent and the breaking of the build becomes so common that folks stop just listening. They might start looking at the bill being broken as just noise, a noise that you just tend to filter out, right? So it should not become a frequent occurrence that the bill just breaks, right? It should be met with the necessary urgency and really bringing it down to to being fairly infrequent, very rare. We talked about a couple of do's and don'ts of checking in frequently. That you check in, you don't check in broken code, that you're very confident that it's not going to break it, and this is a good moment for being able to do an audit trail, right? Of who broke the build. Right there, you can see exactly the check-in that broke the build, right? That it's kept in the Jenkins log. Don't just go home after you check something in, right? Make sure that you babysit that merge, right? And that you see that it goes all the way through to production in our case, right? And that if it did break, that you treat it with the utmost urgency so that you don't block anyone else. So we did say we were going to work with Jenkins. So let's talk about Jenkins.